still can't believe that Corbin ordered. It was Corbin, right? Yes. Corbin ordered a pizza from my wife.
I feel part of it.
Yeah. Well,
Sorry.
your craft services. That's it.
Oh yeah.
I'm sorry. I just asked.
I'm gonna need a gluten-free.
No, you just probably mentioned pizza, and my wife started like. That's never happened to me, by the way. Where I've said, "Oh, I'd love some pizza," and then she decided to make some pizza. Nothing like that. It's like I would like some pizza. Well, we've got chicken. What? I wanted pizza. Well, this is what you're getting. Have some vegetables.
Okay. I'm sorry.
No, this is how we're starting. We're going to start the show now because this people see the camaraderie.
Oh, that was the
we
start?
have. No,
That's
it's
what you
the
guys-
beginning.
I believe that's the
It's the
start.
pre-show.
This is how you guys do this?
This is how we
Yeah,
do a lot of
this
shows.
is so
This is
pro.
how we do
You can't use music.
What
You
do
can
you
change a note.
Copyright.
This is how we do it. You can do that.
Don't change it that way.
But you can't. We didn't do the clap yet. All right, that should line us all up, and it can line us up previously. But I'm going to do it one more time with just one clap, and there we go. All right, so let's get moving on this. The Comic Playground, Frank Caliendo, along with everybody. Introduce yourself so people know who is talking.
Hi, this is Adonis.
Hi, I'm Joe Newcomer.
Hello, I'm Corbin Ford.
But tell us something. Okay, so here's. I guess some people know Adonis. What we do, we also have Donnie Cam, which for the people on the simulcam.
What is he doing?
That
over
no,
there?
that's not sure what that is yet. It looks like he's in Cloud City, but he forgot his vehicle.
Wait a minute, from
you
One
ain't
Piece?
never had a friend like me. See,
He already
now I
seems
get
a
it.
lot more at ease than I thought he would.
Yeah,
look.
it's
Yeah,
great. I did-
classic Donnie.
Yes.
and right now on the producer cam, Justin is doing his
Hey guys.
best to lean in and
What's going on?
make it great.
Not creepy.
For
All
those
I
of
see
you-
is a wall, and then I hear his voice.
absolutely.
Yeah, there's a wall
Exactly.
here, so I'm seeing 2 of the 4 of you. So I'm just gonna make
That's
up.
enough.
You look best from here.
Oh wow.
We will have
My wife
we'll
says the
have
same thing.
Zach in, who already had the best. I'm not even going to tell you what it was. I hope it happens again. Already had the best one-liner of the night. I don't. The thing is, we shouldn't let Zach even talk until on camera because some of the lines are
there,
so good. No, they're
standing
so good.
quietly.
Some of them are brutal, but most of them pretty brilliant. So Joe Newcomer is somebody that I've known for quite a while. Probably met you in Florida at the Fort Lauderdale Improv.
Yeah, definitely. That was the first time we met.
And you were running that club, then moved out here.
Yeah, I moved out here to open up Tempe Improv, and you were our first show again.
Yeah.
man, that's
a pretty,
cool.
pretty great idea by the club.
Right.
No, but what Joe would do is not only run the club and manage the club, he would also get up in the morning, drive comics around,
Which was my favorite part of the
to
job.
the radio stations. Wake
Nothing
up
like 6 a.m.
Wake up at 6 a.m., get everybody there. And I had forgotten, actually, that how much Joe was into comics. The guy who opens for me, George Cantor, had said, hey, Joe's got this Facebook page. He's totally into comic books. And he's a writer, a novelist. We'll talk about that a little bit later when we get in because we want to jump into some of the stuff immediately. But I wanted people to know who Joe was. But one quick little thing is that's amazing when I looked at like Facebook and saw your part of the reason you're into comics or back into comics is because of your daughter.
Absolutely. I hadn't collected for years and years, and then we just had our daughter 2 years ago, and I got really excited. We walked by a comic book store. I'm like, this is what I want to do. Let's start collecting her comic books. I thought that'd be an awesome tradition, and then I went right into like, oh, I can make a picture from this, and we can do a Photoshop, and now I have a recorded moment of her every single month. We go every first Saturday of the month, and it's fun. You know, she's not really into it yet, but
But you'll force her.
She's 2. Yeah, I'll make. My biggest fear is that she's 18 or whatever, and she hates comic books and me because of it.
Well, see, my daughter actually is the one who got me into comic books in the first place. We talked about this earlier, but as a kid, I was into the comic books a little bit more into the cartoons and that type of thing on television. But her loving of comic books after she got injured doing some gymnastics and really starting to get into the Marvel movies and the DC universe on television, CW. So we have a little bit of a parallel there, but that's pretty cool.
So she's like Mrs. Glass then, huh?
She's very hopefully not
got into comic books.
Well,
I mean,
you
let's
know,
not go to the extreme.
there is some truth to that, and I wear a poncho all the time in the rain and save people. That's a big,
that I can see. I mean,
Save people
is that,
money.
Is that
That's where I
on
go,
their car
wow.
insurance.
save people money on car insurance. That's what I do. I'm here to save you $100. And there's my arch enemy is this little lizard who runs around. He's a gecko. All right.
Oh my god.
All right.
Let's start out talking about. We've got a few different things. Let's run down the topics that we're going to hit for sure today, or at least we're going to make an opportunity, take a chance. Try to get to. Glass. I just saw it today. Can't wait to talk about that. The Spider-Man trailer was going to be. I'm going to actually bring my daughter in here. She's on a beanbag back there, prepping mentally, which means she's probably Googling stuff about Spider. She wakes up and it's Spider-Man and Endgame every day. She's ready to go. She knows more. She knows more than me. Justin will text me like, "Put this up. Did you see this yet?" I'm like, "It's 7:01. I've seen it twice."
This is true. Yeah.
Yeah,
She's on it.
She's totally on it. And we're eventually, I think, going to have contests where a little David and Goliath kind of situation. Juliet goes against Justin to see who can battle it out.
Game on, Holmes.
Wow. Okay.
In case Holmes is
I think that should be
12
Sherlock
girl.
Holmes.
Yeah.
I know. Robert Downey Jr. playing Sherlock Holmes, the best. Okay. Do me a favor. Look at this clue as I break it down mentally. We're going to talk to Joe a little bit more. We've got the Black Panther nomination. That's going to be a big deal for everybody who loves comics. And we're going to do some specific comic book stuff later on. So let's start out with the Glass review, I guess. We want to get into all the stuff. I was traveling this last weekend. So I watched Unbreakable on the way out to the East Coast. And then I watched Split coming back. And I'm still angry at all the stuff I missed while watching Glass and go, how did I not know that was what that was? There's so many Easter eggs that they give you, so many tips, and then I want to go watch Unbreakable and Split again, because there's certain things, and we'll get into them, that I go, well, I knew that was a weird camera angle, or why did they do a close up on that? And then you go back and go, I'm just angry about it. So who has seen Donnie's seen it as well, right?
Yeah,
Donnie?
I have.
Thanks, Donnie. Great.
That's all you get.
Corbin, you did our first online interview or a review of it, so I want to hear your thoughts to start.
I thought it was interesting. I mean, as part of the trilogy, and I made fun of this in the review, that it was more of an unlikely one. It wasn't even planned to be one until the end or the closeout of Split. And then with
Wait, it wasn't? I didn't know that.
It was not. Yeah, it was a mid-credit scene at the end of Split where they showed David Dunn.
Right,
and
but
that
I thought this was planned from the beginning.
Oh no, he had no idea. He said it wasn't until he started writing Split that it was a thought of where it was talked about. Then he like kind of backed away, and then he kind of had an idea.
I don't believe him. No, I'm kidding.
I almost don't either.
I
Looked
don't.
like
I
an
mean,
afterthought, though. Honestly.
Yeah, because if you look at it, Unbreakable seemed like the perfect kind of standalone movie, especially for its time. Where,
hold on, doesn't it at the end lead you to believe there's going to be another film about Mr. Glass?
It could. I mean, and it obviously was interpreted as such,
Yeah.
but I mean,
It's
he
really
really apprehended.
ambiguous.
Like it was the end of it. I mean, David had kind of discovered his power. He had kind of had his identity. He'd had the moment with his son where he shared that, and that was kind of done.
Yeah.
And then you had the big villain reveal, as you know, Glass revealed, or Elijah Price said, kind of in the end, where there was not really a confrontation, but like the reveal. And then he was led away, and that was pretty much it. There was no hint of others. It was that he was trying to find a superhero through causing such traumatic, life-altering events.
Yeah.
And he found it. Game over.
I'm with Frank on this one, though. I really honestly thought when I left that theater, I was waiting for Unbreakable 2. I wanted to see Dunn again. I wanted to see Unbreakable 2 with the superhero continuing.
I know. I mean, I guess I'm biased when it comes to that, because when you see something you like, you always want more of it and things like that.
Absolutely.
So I was watching the film and I was like, oh man, that would be so cool if they would do it again. But when the gap between that and Split was so big, I was just like, oh, okay, then it's its own thing. And then when I went to go see Split, I'm a fan of M. Night Shyamalan, so whenever he came out with anything, I was like, okay, I'm gonna make sure I section out time so I can pay attention to that and kind of dive into whatever world he creates this time. And when I went to go see Split, I was very much so interested. And then at the end, during the mid credit segment, I was like, yo, this is okay. Okay, it's about time.
Be lit.
Yeah, pretty much.
See, I thought that the amount of time left in between the movies was on purpose, so you wouldn't think about that. That's it. I mean, maybe I was overthinking it. Apparently,
Well, see, and the time continuum is weird because it didn't really specify the amount of time between Unbreakable and Split, but then it did specify the amount of time between Split and Glass, which was 2 weeks. So then, I mean, that time is kind of undetermined as far as how long it took from David Dunn discover his powers to Split, or Kevin Wendell Crumb being discovered, and then the time was so fast. If you compare the first two movies, it was like barely a blink, and then bam, that happened. So it's kind of weird how he left it, which is another reason why I think that he did know, because it was like from one way to the other.
I just want to know, Frank, what, from your perspective, what would make a production company want to make a movie that's successful and then say, we've got something really good going on, let's wait 15 years to make it?
because he's M. Night Shyamalan, and he can do whatever he wants, right?
Pretty much.
It's just when you put it in your back pocket, and you've got so many other projects. How much money did Unbreakable do? I don't remember that being massively huge.
I don't know. No, I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm Googling it.
Are you asking about box office, Frank? Is that what
Yeah.
you're asking about? So the budget was 104. However, it was a success. It made $526 million.
Oh, it did.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I didn't remember.
So
it making that
Unbreakable,
much.
the reason it was so popular
because
however,
of
No other superhero.
well,
movie
he's
really
coming
came
off
out.
Sixth Sense.
Sixth Sense.
M. Night
Yeah.
Shyamalan was
It
coming off
the
Sixth
reason
Sense. People loved it. It was a smash success. It was a surprise hit. And he did Unbreakable, and it was like a hit or miss for people because they weren't used to the style of him still, of like, this isn't going to be a superhero movie, which we really didn't have a whole lot yet. We had Spider-Man, the Fantastic Four back in the 2000s.
Well, the whole
X-Men came out, not even 6 months
2000
after
was X-Men. So that
Unbreakable
whole
came out.
year
It
was
the
like the
same year.
beginnings of these superhero seeds
Spider-Man
for what we have
2002.
today.
Yeah.
The premise of all of them is you don't know if they're superheroes or not, though.
Yeah.
They don't. The whole point
Right.
is, and that's what M. Night Shyamalan does.
Right.
Is he leaves you guessing, is this really a superhero or is it just in their minds?
That's how he made it realistic and drew in the
Yes.
audience. Too.
Yeah.
That's what
Yes.
made it an amazing #1 movie for a superhero, because you didn't think for a while. He really made it realistic, and that's
So-
a lot
Well, it's the
of comic
same
book movies
formula.
are-
I don't want to say formula because it's not exactly the same, but it's the Sixth Sense. You
Yeah.
think there's something going on, and there are two things happening at once. It's the same story told two different ways depending on where you're at
Exactly.
in the movie.
Exactly.
And you don't know that they really are, and this is a spoiler, you don't really know that they're superheroes until the end, and you find out that what's the character's name? The lady from the O.J. Simpson trial.
Sarah Paulson.
Yeah.
Sarah Paulson.
Yeah, Sarah
Sarah
Paulson, who I'm going to refer to as the prosecuting attorney from the OJ case.
Okay.
No, she spells it out, and I thought that Mr. Glass was actually going to be her underling. I thought that's the way I was starting to go. I thought that was going to be the twist, and it turns out she's above and beyond everybody, and she's part of some secret society. You don't want to know, do you?
I was gonna say, if we're gonna talk story, I have some
A
thoughts.
secret. You shouldn't have bet on this. We told you it was coming. We told you it was coming.
I know. It's fine. It's
You
whatever.
didn't think it through, did you? You were like, I want to be on the panel, but I don't want to
wanna
hear
say hi.
anything.
Correction on those numbers from earlier. So what I read you,
It's $500 billion.
$500 billion kajillion dollars.
Yes, right. Okay.
So those
down
numbers
the blue.
were for the trilogy as a whole. They're calling the trilogy the East Trail 177 trilogy.
yeah.
So that's Unbreakable, Split, and Glass. However, this is interesting. Budget for Unbreakable was $75 million, right?
Yep.
So I gave you that number of like $528 million earlier for all three of them. $248.1 million was Unbreakable. So half of that belongs to Unbreakable. So it's like the most successful of those three.
Yeah.
And that's
by
coming
far.
off of The Sixth Sense.
Right. That's probably where a lot of that came from, was curiosity. And, what's he going to do next? So I remember seeing it and really liking it. Years later, after watching it again, it got even better because you didn't realize what the genius level was of like he doesn't come out and just tell you blatantly. You have to like pay attention.
Yes.
Wow.
And a lot of different things were there.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably that's got a lot to do with why he, if he was thinking about this on a big scale and a grand scheme, then that's probably a huge influence as to why he's put that space out between them.
I mean,
to
I think
restart people's mindset.
Yeah, I mean, it's a 19-year gap, so I think he didn't have an idea back then. Maybe he did and just didn't tell us. But I mean, I know this is his circle back to original films, starting back in. He did The Visit back in 2015, but this is like his circle back to original, full control, full writing and directing of his own stuff.
Okay, so I don't know if I'm making this up in my head or what. But I was watching when I watched Unbreakable. This is one of those things where you think you remember something, but I'm not sure if it actually happened. Might be, as my daughter likes to call it, a time remnant. She's been watching a lot of CW Flash.
Oh yeah, they do all the Arrow too.
Right, so yes. I think I remember in Unbreakable they're going through the train and they show the guy, another person on that train. And he's got a briefcase, and it says Crumb on it. And that becomes an Easter egg. Unless I just had a dream that this was... And there's this all ties into Glass at the end.
I think I need to watch it again.
I mean, I watched Unbreakable, 2 years ago? Because I was in kindergarten when it came out. So
right.
I don't... Like, hindsight, I was just watching it just to appreciate what it was
right.
in its time. That's something if that was. I had no idea.
I
thought he stumbled into the trilogy, and it just kind of worked. Or didn't, in my opinion.
Now, did you get that from somewhere, or you were reading about that he didn't plan on the trilogy?
Yeah,
or?
I remember reading an article. I was thinking it was.
So maybe you're the one who's making it up, and I mean,
because they did some weird stuff in Glass as far as going
hold
back
on,
to
your
that train
pizza's
scene.
ready. No, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Anyway, I was saying like they did some flashback stuff in Glass as far as
right.
that same train scene. I liked how they did that too, where they cut to the train and then like took like some of the footage of Unbreakable.
Right.
I thought it was interesting.
It's so cool that they use the same actors.
I loved that.
What we were talking about, he did plan it all along. So apparently he, when planning Unbreakable, Shyamalan originally intended for Kevin
Hold on
Crumb.
a second. Take that, Zach.
I mean, I learned something every day. I don't know what I was talking about.
I thought one of the
he had
big
originally
reasons
intended for Kevin Crumb to appear and for the story of Split to be a part of it. However, he decided that he wanted to have a full 3-act structure of a story and found himself most fascinated by the first act, which was Kevin Dunn's story.
Is there a shot of the briefcase?
Yes, there is, and it is directly connected.
And that's in Unbreakable, right?
Correct.
But at the time, I remember. I was watching Unbreakable, and I'm like, it's really weird that they cut to it like a close up, and I remember saying in my head the joke, "Who's Harry Crumb?" That movie with what's his name from Second City, John Candy. Like, who's Harry Crumb? But I was like, it said Crumb, and I was like, what? Why is this showing this monogram or whatever, just his full name, Crumb, on that briefcase? And then I didn't put it together, and that's the thing that I got really mad about when I was watching Glass, was that I go, wait a second, I just watched Split 2 days later. His name is Kevin Wendell Crumb, and I didn't put Crumb and Crumb together. 2 days now, I had been flying a lot. And I hadn't drank enough.
Yeah, it looks like he was supposed to be a part of Unbreakable. It said that he was going to investigate Crumb's kidnapping of teenage girls and fight the villain. However, he thought that taking on Crumb would distract from the intimate story of his self-realization about his powers. So instead of going off on that track, he wanted to do like a full character realization movie, which is Unbreakable.
Wow.
So, but he did set it up and then forgot about it. 19 years later, we have Split and Glass.
So he forgot about it, he said? Wait, what?
Not really forgot about, but circled back because he's had this idea in his head for a while, but he's done other projects, did the whole studio scene for a while.
Ideas. I mean, he had After Earth. I looked that up.
So if it had come out right together, it wouldn't have been as
it wouldn't have
awesome.
the same impact.
Because
What if he
we're in
did,
a better situation for superheroes today, so it's more relevant.
But not even that.
I think that's one of his
It
big...
gives you time to forget. You forget stuff, and you go, this isn't going to tie together like this.
Well, going back and watching it made it even better,
I think
too.
we're
Having
glossing
to watch it
over-
again was awesome.
Having to watch what again?
Having to watch Unbreakable again just to get keyed back up for this.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think
Like,
we're
I forgot
glossing
how much I love that movie.
That movie was
it's a lot of
awesome.
fun.
If I remember right, there was a lot of Shyamalan fatigue in those days.
Yes.
If I had to guess, maybe he had this trilogy in his head at that time, but nobody wanted it. Nobody
Yeah.
wanted a sequel. Nobody definitely wanted a third. They were like, great, Shyamalan's coming out with a movie. He's going to have a twist.
I'm actually
Boring, move on.
That's a great take there, which I'm not used to from you, Zach. Usually I'm waiting for a quip.
See, I'm full of surprise. This is the twist. It's the Shyamalan twist right here.
He got it.
And it comes back around.
He got it in. He can. Wait, I knew he could make it magical. Some of you guys pout when we make fun of each other. He just relishes it and puts it on the hot dog.
There's an article about that.
Right?
Wow, you can't not think about
I'm
that.
sorry, I'm home.
When you
Hey, real quick, we're going to do you a favor. Hey, go ahead. Corbin, we got something for you. There's a special guest in the studio.
What's happening?
Look at this.
You're putting
Oh
you're
my-
putting the pizza in the show.
I mean,
Is this a sponsor?
This show is brought to you by...
DiGiorno.
Well, he's gonna.
No, it's DiGiorno.
Adonis
Oh man.
is the guy that goes around the table. He's our guy over here.
no,
Corbin, you better share that.
Wow, that's all. Look at that. Thank you. I'm sorry. Thank you.
There's stuff in case you guys need it.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much.
I'm sorry. I feel very.
You should. I think
What service? What service?
delivery? No, DiGiorno. And it is DiGiorno.
It is, absolutely.
Corbin, I need you to come pass me a piece, bro.
Okay. Well,
Tonight's catering is brought to you by Caliendo Catering. Either you eat it
a good
or we delete it.
so I have a question.
Hold on. Before you have your question, you know what, Zach? You have free reign to take Donnie's mic. I think he might be asleep.
He looks so comfortable.
Does he sleep with his eyes open?
What's going on, Donnie?
No,
Like-
I'm here.
like-
I'm just ready for something to spit at me. You know.
Well, you're supposed to come in with something,
You
but
know.
You want me to flick pennies at him?
You've
like
got
during the show?
knives. You can't work your way in there.
yeah.
I can't even see Frank. I'm gonna cut that wall.
Yeah, this. Yeah, we're kind of like, hey guys, we're kind of in another compartment.
no, it's better like that, guys.
Like, I don't even know if Adonis is still there.
I am.
He is. I can
thank you.
confirm that.
All right. So
From hearing from you guys, you actually liked the movie? Like, did you?
I
both like-
really liked it. I really
Wow.
liked it because I like the characters.
You enjoyed Glass?
I have
Oh, you
not
haven't
seen
seen
it.
it?
They
Okay.
haven't seen. They
We
haven't.
haven't seen it.
Oh,
The
then
two
you
of us
haven't
have seen it,
It's just-
and Donnie's seen it, which is the awkward part. That Donnie's the third person to have seen it, and two guys who haven't seen it, three guys who haven't seen it, have actually had more to add.
I'm not gonna lie, I
I'd
really
like
thought
to
we
talk
were gonna
about it.
Talk about it.
No,
Yeah.
I'd
What
like
did
to
you
talk
think?
about it. Me and my wife. She wanted to. She's like, we were trying to think Sunday what we go see. She said we can go see Glass. I'm like, you really want to see that? You haven't seen the other movies? But I was like, yeah, okay, because I was down to see it. She loved it. She was so intrigued by McAvoy's characters.
He is unbelievable.
unbelievable.
That guy's a
The
boss.
switches, like,
on a twitch.
Yeah.
Like,
right.
Seriously. You can see like just one like this.
well,
and
yeah,
then all of a
because
sudden
he's
it's, oh, there's
because he's
Patricia.
hooked up to Cerebro.
Yeah.
He's actually channeling mutants. He is. So I must say that this is what
It was good. He did it.
Yeah, she loved it.
Wow. Yeah.
She liked the 9-year-old boy in Patricia, but yeah, she
Hedwig,
had
yeah.
to see.
Hedwig's
We
awesome.
saw
Hedwig
Split
was awesome.
yesterday.
Beast, man.
Yeah.
was fun.
You want to see my room? I like Kanye West.
Yeah.
That was
The
that was
Salt Bae
creepier
joke
than
was
McAvoy.
funny. Just a little bit.
Say that again?
That was a little creepier than McAvoy. I think.
Yeah, Donnie can outcreep anybody.
Oh my!
I guess I'm the only one who didn't really enjoy the movie. I mean,
You
I
didn't
enjoyed
like
it
it?
for a movie, but as the close of a trilogy, I even said I liked the ending. I thought it kind of tied it up in a way that
I don't
I'm
think
grateful
it's an
for
ending.
it.
I think it's the beginning of his next universe.
Well,
I think he's
if
starting
it's
out
the next universe. You think?
because the whole thing is that they have let out that these superheroes exist.
Yeah.
Close your ears, guys. They let out that these superheroes
Earmuffs.
exist, and now they can go and be part of the world.
if they fight like David Dunn and the Beast did for most of the movie, just pushing each other against the wall, and I don't want to see it. Then.
Don't.
Like I didn't enjoy it was a lot of exposition, which I understood, but it seemed like most of the themes about the superhero and what makes them and is it the mind. We've seen that in other movies already. The action was like, I mean,
But
we
that's
saw
the point:
that.
is
Like,
the
it was
action
really-
is close to real.
Yeah,
Because
because
that's the point of it.
I was gonna
you
say-
don't like that.
Well, no, like having the Beast, especially the way he was climbing up the wall and stuff. That it was like going on the edge between real and
Yeah.
like supernatural,
Where-
but like in a way that seemed.
But
awkward to me.
you do realize that at part of it, they said they found rock climbing videos on his computer.
Yes.
and she talks about it. Sarah Paulson, the Sarah Paulson character, talks about how that there are these rock climbers who are so good they can appear to scale walls. And it's in the end, you see that they are superheroes because they can do these extraordinary things. But I don't know. I can understand where you're coming from. I'm not trying to.
I think that the if this is the open door to a brand new superhero-esque universe, I like the idea because I feel I've always been scared ever since Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire came out. Ever since then, I've always been afraid of the fact that we would get too glazed over with the idea of comic book heroes and like that whole comic book mindset and on the big screen, like, and we would get too used to it, and then it wouldn't have the same impact as it would. And that's why I was talking about the gap between Unbreakable and Split and all of this, and like trying to step back and look at it from a different perspective, because I mean, Spider-Man came out. X-Men came out, Spider-Man, all these things that just feels like every year there's something. And now we're even branching out into the TV realm. All these we're surrounded by heroes. I mean, look,
in this room, I'm surrounded by heroes. That was almost Zackian, wasn't it?
Cycle. People will get sick of it.
Exactly. And that's why I'm like, if this is a new way to look at it, I'm down. It's just I just don't want it to
get... It's the non-superhero movie.
Exactly.
Is what it is. It's told to be very believable, but you're at the same time you don't know if it's real or not the whole time. You question it until the end, and you find out, oh, I see what it actually was, which is I see dead people. When Sarah Paulson tells you at the end, you go, okay, now I know what's been happening this entire time. How did I miss this? And you go back and watch it, and you go, those of us who liked it enough, would go back and watch it and say, how did it get there, and how did I miss those things? That's what you did when you watched The Sixth Sense, right?
Yeah.
You watch The Sixth Sense, and you go, he was talking to, spoiler, he was talking to nobody? Wait a second. He was imagining people? Wait, what?
That's the
were
one
they?
with I See Dead People, right?
Yeah.
I've never actually seen it.
You never seen The Sixth Sense?
I know the I See Dead People line, because who doesn't know that
People
line?
like you still
How do you get it?
I don't like Shyamalan.
But you don't.
And I wasn't-
But then you should have prefaced the whole thing with that. I don't like him.
No, listen. I gave him credit for Unbreakable.
This is like the
I gave him
crop
credit for Split,
circles.
but I just didn't like Glass. And I didn't like After Earth, and that was enough for me for his movies. And yet he
Okay,
did
but
After
that's
Earth.
fine. But why?
Wait a minute, wait,
it's
what?
good that we
Yeah.
have you.
He
It's-
directed After Earth and did it. Yes, he did. I looked it up after we had a
With John
conversation.
Travolta?
No, After Earth
Oh,
was William Jaden Smith.
Oh, yes.
That
Okay.
cluster.
You didn't like
Were
that?
you thinking Phenomenon?
No, it was
Or-
horrible.
see
The
that.
acting was still.
No,
I did
not
not
that.
enjoy it. John
I
Travolta.
can
You
move a
didn't see
pen
After
with my
Earth? Don't
brain.
watch
Oh my
After Earth.
God, this is
Don't watch
unbelievable.
I'm surprised you guys didn't even mention Signs.
Signs is what
The
I
whole
said
time
with
I'm
the crop
thinking about
circles.
Signs. No, honestly, the whole time I've been thinking about Signs, because it's that damn sound. Dun, 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 dun. Every time there something happened, it was that.
I'll tell you, at the end of Glass, there's music that makes me think Walking Dead too.
I love
It's
the
very-
soundtrack for Glass. The same one from. It was.
So you like to listen to Glass, you just don't like to watch it.
No, I felt.
I think
can't
like you're
believe somebody
discriminating
thought this.
right
yeah,
now.
I just feel like it.
No,
just,
it's good. We shouldn't all like everything.
No, it just. I mean, it was a good movie for what it was. But
Adonis thinks I'm joking. I think that's
No, I
it
get-
doesn't. There's no show called First Take if that happened.
No,
you know?
I like the fact that there is diversity and we're not all just bandwagon hoppers, because that makes it much more.
I mean, no free tickets for Corbin to a M. Night
goodness.
Shyamalan.
All I'm saying is, if it was a superhero film, I didn't like it for that. If
No,
it was
no,
just a
that's
regular
good.
movie, then.
All right, we gotta move on to the next thing. So we're gonna talk Spider-Man trailer. Juliet, you want to come in here? Yeah. Juliet is my daughter, who is on the money with everything, and she's got some ideas and some theories and stuff as well. So I might even step out for a little bit. I'll step out. No, you guys start talking. You want to eat the pizza? I can move Juliet in. Go take a bite of pizza.
Thank you.
Bring the pizza out.
This
I've been
segment
listening to your stomach
not brought to you
for a
by
while.
DiGiorno.
You hear it? I'm sorry. There you go.
Jules,
She
just
brought
step on
plates
in.
and napkins and everything.
I know she did the most. I just asked for the house number
There's
so I
like a
could
whole
get
bag
pizza
of
delivered.
accoutrements.
right here.
Justin wanted a slice.
Well, take the pizza with you. It's just been a centerpiece.
Just do that.
It just looks like an injury to the table.
Where's my slide?
I thought that was coming on both of us. All over.
No, I'm good. I'm good. They do that.
So we're gonna. Oh my God! Now you're. Have you ever waited at a table?
once. I worked at
What you?
Corbin, get back here.
Wait, you waited at a table once and you worked there for a year?
They put me on dishes. They were jealous. No, they were jealous. I mean,
I thought it was like salad bar.
They like
Wait
me.
a second, Adonis, are you leaving too?
Everybody's leaving.
Oh, okay. I thought pizza had just taken over.
The pizza has taken over.
All right, so who wants to start on Spider-Verse? Or not Spider-Verse, that's going to be Zach later. Who wants to get started? Justin, you want to get talk Spider-Man trailer?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. For
Pop
sure.
in. What do you got?
I thought it was wonderful. I thought they did a great job. I mean, I think the biggest statement that this trailer made is, is it before or after Infinity War? They obviously answered that. They said it's supposed to be after Endgame.
Right. Juliet, what do you got? Do you have a theory on that? She was telling me about.
I don't know. I thought it was going to be after Endgame.
She's right.
Yeah.
I honestly,
I think that they're hiding Tony Stark from us. That doesn't necessarily mean that he's met a demise. I think they could definitely be red herring it like they did the Avengers trailer with all the heroes running at the very end that didn't actually show up. With Hulk.
Juliet has another theory on that too.
Oh.
With Hulk.
Yeah.
Okay, so if there's
Talk
time travel, what if it wasn't false advertising? It was after the time travel when Bruce Banner can actually turn into the Hulk.
Yeah. What if that trailer for Infinity War is actually a scene that they're gonna redo
In Endgame, you mean?
and see in Endgame?
I wouldn't see why not. We're going to get time travel.
Like
See?
like that trailer, everybody's
yeah.
like, Hulk's not in there. What if he is in there and it's a second timeline?
Anything's possible with the
Yeah.
Russos.
Yeah.
How is she not
Anything's
running the
possible.
podcast?
I got
She's
your
got
spoiler on the time thing you're talking about. Okay, this is
Time travel?
Time
Is that
travel thing.
Time
too.
thing.
The time thing.
time thing.
Look, cue card guy wasn't on thing.
So what's your spoiler?
All right. So this came from my friend. Who's in the comics and all that. He would be here, but he's in Georgia. He says, it was revealed that Far From Home Place takes minutes after Endgame. That means the timeline was changed. Samuel L. Jackson said in an interview, Captain Marvel can time travel. Just things I saw. And he actually sent me the link and all that too.
Wait a second. Samuel L. Jackson sent you the link?
Yeah.
What
Wow.
in the world
Oh, I
is
just
going
called-
on?
I
Hey,
just called him
send
Sam.
this link to my friend Donnie.
I'm
Is he in Georgia too?
No, it's
And are they eating pizza?
no. So
we
it's
are
saying,
And why didn't Corbin like glass? I didn't talk like this one time.
all right. It's saying her Kree abilities might give her the ability to go into the quantum realm where Ant-Man was.
Yeah, Jules.
Okay. At the end, in the post-credit scene of Ant-Man and the Wasp, the first Wasps told Ant-Man to not get sucked into a time vortex because they couldn't get him out. So what if getting sucked into a time vortex, he gets spit out at a different time period?
Mm-hmm.
So that's how they time travel as well. And then there was the Avengers toy leak, right? With the
Right.
they all had, or not all of them, but some of them had the same armor, and that could have been for the quantum realm.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
And see,
Brilliant.
I know with that, piggybacking off of that thought process, there was a comic cover back in the 80s and I bought it recently, and it's Hawkeye with Ant-Man on the end of the arrow, the tip of the arrow, and I was like, I guarantee you, with what I saw with Hawkeye as Ronin, I was like, I guarantee you this is going to be in the movie.
I thought
That was in Civil War.
What?
That shot for shot remake. That was in Civil War.
He's actually doing reshoots
He hops
right
on
now.
the end of that arrow and he gets fired out. He gets fired into Tony's armor. Yeah, that was. I remember that cover and I remember that
yeah.
story.
So it
People
did
were-
happen.
yeah.
Maybe
It's going to do it a different way.
Wait, was there, did we do that time thing just now?
Yeah, that's just not in the universe that Adonis is from. That didn't happen.
Also, M. Night Shyamalan's article said that he didn't plan the trilogy.
I saw that article. We'll talk about it later.
So there's everything. Nobody. You know what? I bet you M. Night Shyamalan's doing interviews like there's two storylines with M. Night
a good
Shyamalan
idea.
where he has actually gone to the quantum realm and he's coming back and Thanos snapped his fingers and guess what? We see dead people.
She whispered that into your ear, didn't
I'm
she?
just
She totally told you to say that.
All right. So Spider-Man trailer. Was there anything else that we saw in there that anybody wanted to?
Heck yeah,
opening
the
to-
costumes.
yes.
Okay.
He wore his black costume from one of the original covers, his black and red costume with the web under the arms. That's one of his original costumes.
Okay.
So they showed you that, which was awesome. And then the introduction of Spider-Man Noir,
Yep.
who the one of the co-creators was at Ace Comic-Con last week when we were all there.
Yep.
So it's basically a all-black Spider-Man costume. He makes it pure black, sometimes has a trench coat, always has one of those like black mask with these white goggles over the top of it type of look. So we got to see a look at that. I think that's important because those are two throwbacks to the comics, which is awesome.
I really love the Mysterio costume. It's
Oh,
so
yeah.
original and just beautiful. It's a cool costume.
And that right there, just it's finally we're getting an introduction to the Sinister Six. I think
can't wait.
I'm really excited for that. Like very much so.
What is
Absolutely.
it? Does anybody have the thoughts on Mysterio? Julian?
Can I take this off
What?
from here? Can I say this from over here?
What are you going to talk about?
What if we talking about like Hydro Man, Sandman, all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
What if those are illusions created by Mysterio?
That's what I was thinking too.
Those are 100%.
Yeah.
That's how he's introduced in the comics, and that's
Do you think that with the Vulture and Mysterio, that's going to team up for a later movie?
absolutely.
Oh, for sure.
When I'm sitting there going, those are probably
Yeah, they're laying the
Oh.
foundation. The end of Homecoming had Shocker in there. Not Shocker. Shocker's already been introduced because that one guy took the mantle after the one guy got disintegrated.
Yep.
You have Shocker. You have Scorpion, who was in prison.
Yep.
Matt Gargan, who was talking to Michael Keaton, who's Vulture.
Right.
There's 3. Mysterio's now introduced 4. Hydra Man being talked about. There's a 5th, and then
And Mysterio seems to be in the trailer. Is he good or bad?
he's a good guy in the trailer. However, that's what they think. He'll start out as a good guy in this movie and then end up being the villain. right?
What if he's posing as a good guy, but it's only he's creating the other villains to make him look good, but he's actually the villain because he's creating the attack.
100% agree with her.
Like Syndrome
100%.
in
Absolutely.
Incredibles.
Yeah, I think exactly.
Okay.
I think he's doing that too because he's the master of illusion.
Yep.
So why not? Why couldn't that be
Right, the
feasible?
Master of Illusion in a grander scale.
Right.
Yeah.
Like he's creating a grand
But-
illusion. Yeah.
Back to some of the things about Endgame, though. We had the check. There's a scene of a check with Pepper Potts and Happy in it, and it's people were like, "Oh, why? Tony Stark's gone because he didn't sign it." It's like, well, Pepper Potts is the CEO and has been for years,
Right.
so there was no real evidence of where's Tony Stark. We don't know. It didn't answer any of that in the trailer. What he's not a part of it. It's more like Spider-Man's like summer vacation movie, like after Endgame. That's as far as we know.
Right.
Well, did they show the? I can't remember. Last year during Super Bowl, is that when they showed the trailer for Avengers for the first time? So I'm wondering, are we going to see Endgame this Super Bowl?
Oh, for sure. Oh, definitely.
Okay.
If it comes out in
Yeah.
April, and we're in.
Yeah,
we're at
because
the
I was
end
wondering
of
why they
January.
already showed Spider-Man
Super Bowl, you're going to
first.
get all new trailers. Specifically, Endgame is overdue. It's very
Yeah.
overdue for new.
But we don't
trailer.
know about that for sure.
We do not 100% know that because they never tell you until like either the day of or the week of.
Yeah.
But
That's usually when
from my
Juliet
knowledge
lets me
of
know.
past trailer debuts and the most watch event in the planet every year, they're definitely going to do something with one of their properties, whether it's Captain Marvel, Endgame, or Spider-Man again.
Just
It's just that's what Disney does.
I'm ready.
But I like that theory about Mysterio being puffing himself up and fighting his own villains. I think
That was well
right
done.
on the money,
Well done.
right? Yeah, yeah. He put himself out there. That's great. Did you like the suit? I thought his suit, like, what was Adonis? You saying that?
No, that
That's
was
me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
I thought that
original
suit was
with
awesome.
the-
Did you like
the
it?
fishbowl head? Everything's
Yeah.
perfect. It's
I love
absolutely
it.
It's
We
exactly
didn't
what
get
I
the
want.
fishbowl, which was awesome because it was like, well, where's the fishbowl at? We know it's coming.
Yeah.
Well, you got it when he was pushing up against when he was floating around on his cloud and pushing up against
That
the
far- oh, you're right,
Hydra
the
Mag.
far
He
shot.
Had the
That's
He
right.
had the
yeah,
fishbowl.
absolutely.
Did
What
you
did
like
you
his
think?
suit, Juliet? Did you think it was?
Well, she doesn't have it to compare, I think, in terms of like kids don't know that stuff. You guys are really liking a lot of this stuff because you're going back and saying that's how it was in the comics. She's just starting to learn about the comics now. So for all these kids, they don't know what some of that stuff, the tie-ins are. And that's the kind of perspective that's like Juliet has all these theories and stuff like that. But it's funny to hear the difference between she comes up with theories and looks things up and all that type of stuff. But you guys tie things into specific comics and storylines that you already know. Whereas what we do is we see the movies and then we go back and read about the storylines to try and figure out what the next movie is going to be. You guys pull from the past, whereas we look to it to go, well, how did this form and get there?
Because she's much more creative than us.
Did you have a favorite? Did you have a favorite part of the trailer that you liked? Just any of it? Good answer.
That's kind of Donnie-ish right there.
I liked it all.
Okay, well that's it. One of the things I'm going to do is get Juliet used to talking to the microphone. I've never heard her so quiet. So
I want to hear more spoilers. What's your biggest spoiler idea for any movie coming out?
Yeah.
go ahead, whatever.
I don't know.
There was another one that you had that you said was so far out there that it could never happen. I don't remember what it was. I don't know. We'll figure that out for another time. But
Yeah, definitely want to hear more of that.
yeah,
For real.
Is there anything else that you wanted to add right now? Because does anybody else have anything wrap up on that? Because we need to move on to the next thing anyway. So
I think in total, what we realize is that maybe she needs to start writing the movies because her theories are sometimes better than the movies.
She's got some pretty. She spent an hour and maybe an hour between an hour and a half with Todd McFarlane today.
That's
and it was
so cool.
It was surreal. And he just enjoys talking. He's like, Juliet, you can do anything you want. He's just so great. He's like, and if you can't draw, that doesn't matter. You don't have to be able to draw because you can. They need accountants to work here. They need. He's like, if you want to be in this business,
so cool.
oh, it was unbelievable. And then
so cool.
tell them, hold on, tell them what you did today. The last time we were leaving, and he goes, I should have had you do something else. And what did Todd McFarlane have you do?
I drew in one of his in the.
But what did
baby
you?
spawn.
Yeah, the baby spawn deal. But what did you do with the cape?
I got to color it.
So she colored in the cape for. I'm not even sure. It's the little spawn that goes and kills everything on every page. Do you guys know what that is?
Spawn kills everybody.
Spawn kills everybody. Yeah.
And Spawn kills everyone.
Yes. Yeah. Spawn kills everybody too. So she colored a little piece of the cape. We'll put it up on social media later.
That's so.
Yeah. And she gave him the storyline for the whole thing. No.
Yeah, of course.
Welcome to the big time, Juliet.
Yeah. It was pretty surreal. So
I'm
very good.
seriously geeking out over here. Like,
I'm gonna start running my book ideas by her. Yeah. Because that's gonna be super helpful, I think.
Let's do that real quick. Let's talk a little bit more. You've written, Joe. You've written a novel, and I read. First thing I do is I started reading a little bit of Joe's novel. I'm like, man, you can turn a phrase.
Thank you. That's very nice.
Very well. How did that get into? How did you get into that?
It was just I really had a great senior English teacher
Right.
that just got me into literature and showed me Kurt Vonnegut and all those things, which is very, very comic bookish. Like all sci-fi books, it's all the same. It's all in that same realm, you know? So I was in comic books as a kid, and then he introduced me to a kind of writing, and I was not into reading at all up until that point. And then when I started reading Vonnegut and 1984, these are like speculative fiction that is exactly like a comic book.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, maybe there's not a lot of real heroes in it, but that's exactly what it is. So once I started reading that, I got really into it. And he's like, you should start journaling and all that stuff. And that's how the first book came to be. I journaled for
El Camino Blue.
Yeah. El
which is on
Camino Blue.
Amazon.
I journaled for about 3 months right at the end of high school. And a few years later, I picked that up and I turned it into a book. I finished it when I was about 22. And then spent a long time trying to get it published, which is the hard part.
Whenever I'm around Joe, I'm like, "You did what? Oh, okay." I do funny voices. Sometimes they sound like people. Yeah. So, and you're working on something else right now?
Right now, I'm working on a new book that I'm like 5 pages into it. That's totally new, but I've just finished a novel called Diminishing Return, and I'm trying to get that published. I'm sending it out to literary agents and publishers and stuff like that. It's really a lot about the kind of things that we talk about. It's really a sci-fi book. The first book was really a coming of age. It's not really sci-fi at all, but this new one is definitely all sci-fi. It's really a play on how we're obsessed with nostalgia in society, and literally it stops time. So that's the major concept
That's
of the
pretty
book.
dope.
Yeah. El Camino Blue. You go by Joseph Newcomer. I love.
I throw my middle initial in there on the next one, so
Yeah. Slow.
it gets longer.
At the beginning, though, do you put it like M. Night Shyamalan?
No.
All right. So Joe's going to be joining us a whole bunch. If for people who've been watching a lot of the Photoshop stuff, some of the Photoshop stuff, Aldonis has been doing some of that stuff too, and the memes. But Joe has immediately jumped on and brought a bunch of stuff to the social media world for us as well. So we'll get into more of that stuff too as we go along. You're going to be here a bunch. I think everybody's just becoming kind of regulars. We interview people and they become more a part of the show, and that's the way I really like it. So we're gonna move on to. I'm actually gonna step out for a little bit. Juliet, you and I will both step out. We're gonna bring Corbin back in. And Zach, why don't you come on over here? Just want to make sure we get everybody in for a time, and I want a piece of pizza. It's been sitting there too long. We can go. Let's go this route. The Black Panther Oscar nominations.
I want to talk to you more about the book stuff because I have like 3 or 4 ideas about
that's
books.
a great time
Excellent.
to do it on the podcast.
I'm not gonna.
I don't
right
like
now.
to talk about it that much. Kidding. That's
like,
that's all I want to do is talk about books and get them published. I find it hard to believe that anybody's gonna have anything interesting to say after what happened here. That was incredible.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
She knows
Those
things.
ideas, like if she started writing those down, they could all be comic books. Like these guys would literally steal her ideas.
Do you think she's getting any credit, as an artist on that comic?
I hope
I'm
so.
wondering. I hope there
That
was
would
some
be
sort of
that
contract
would be
signed,
so cool.
coming from all of us not having a contract signed for this podcast yet, So I would think,
She's holding the main contract
Yeah.
actually.
Hey guys, can I actually? This always puzzled me. I don't know why I never brought it up. Because, the whole Disney and Marvel thing. How come Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch are in the Avengers when they're X-Men? They're Magneto's kids.
I can answer that.
Okay, look at
But
that.
Corbin's gonna go ahead and go first. 'cause
No, I like
love
that
Corbin.
backward action.
It's amazing how
So-
quickly everybody jumped on that because we all have the answer. And I don't know if that's sad or happy or what. But it's something.
Sometimes people could be a little overzealous,
Okay.
and that's okay,
All right.
and that's me. No, there was a swaparoo between Fox and Disney. They had negotiated the rights to the characters to Disney in return for Disney to let them do, I want to say, I forgot what movie they did. They basically said, okay, Avengers Age of Ultron, we want to have, and it was at the end, which movie was at the end of where they're in the cage? But it's Scarlet Witch.
that was
Captain America.
yeah.
Yeah, so they're in the cage. They set it up there. They're like, we will allow you to, this is Fox, to Disney. We will allow you to use Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch, but you can't make any reference to Magneto.
And you have to kill Quicksilver as soon as he's.
Basically, he was expendable because they knew Scarlet Witch was part of a long-term plan, so that was talked about. And then I think Disney gave them rights to something else. It's kind of the same situation as Sony licensed Spider-Man to them for their universe. But there's this whole switcheroo thing they did. Who wants to
That's
add to that?
technical
No, that's
comic
good.
book
That's what I'm
jargon.
hoping they do with the Avengers and X-Men.
Well, now that Disney is
wishful thinking,
trying to secure
but,
the rights with Fox, they're hoping for X-Men Avengers crossovers. I mean, hopefully in our
Oh my
lifetime,
God, X-Men versus
we'll
Avengers.
be able to see that. That's a big
I mean,
deal.
if we get a prop.
Oh, yeah.
So-
It's
It's all about
That too.
licensing. It's all about
can't get a
property
prop for
management.
Fantastic
That's
Four in, like,
what they do.
15 years, so.
So should we start talking about Black Panther's nomination?
Oh yes.
I don't know if anybody at this table has any opinions on that, but
So it's about damn time.
You just
I
mean
hear
comic
you.
books in general?
Yeah.
comics
Yes.
in general.
Because there has been some definite like good movies where you're just like, wow, I've never seen anything like that before in a movie. Not even just the superhero aspect of it. I've just never seen that part being displayed in filmmaking and things like that before. Just like the first Academy Award for special effects was American Werewolf in London. And I was just like, that was such a cool movie. Like, I loved that movie from when I was a little kid. And because they were trying to do something cool to a different genre of people, they brought filmmaking and parts of filmmaking that there's not usually in people's faces to a different level. And that's what superhero movies have been doing for a long time. I mean, if you look at the video games and the CG in all of these movies, like it's getting better and better, and the real, like how real it looks. It's about damn time.
So let me ask
That's
you.
all very visual, though, right?
I've got a hypothetical question. Dark Knight Rises came out, right? And was considered to be a big snub in the Oscars. Like every most popular movie of the year made the most money, critically well reviewed.
Yep.
Didn't get a nomination for Best Picture. And the next year, I believe they expanded the number of movies that could actually be nominated for Best Picture. Do you think the Black Panther gets nominated without the expansion of the number of movies that can be nominated?
I kind of do. I'm torn. I feel like culturally, I mean, as a superhero movie, and Joe mentioned being visually just aesthetically beautiful, and then the story being great, but also the cultural significance, especially now with, I mean, all the changes that are going on in the outside world, I think influence that to a certain extent. And with the movie, it reminds me of Titanic, where a movie that's just so big and has such like huge admiration from the people, from the public in general. It just gets so big that it just kind of forces its way in regardless.
Don't you think it's missing Celine Dion though? Like, do you think that would have helped the movie?
Isn't every movie?
That's
missing-
why.
Yeah,
That's
yes,
why
it is.
Deadpool
Except
had
Deadpool.
it.
Deadpool too, right?
if Killmonger had died to that soundtrack, my heart would have just left me.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh my god! But
My Heart Will Go On is really what you're supposed to say.
exactly,
Yes.
exactly. But at the same time, I think that's kind of what makes it big. It's like the perfect storm in a sense of like the right movie, the right cultural significance, just how big it was, just in and of itself. That kind of lent to it. But at the same time, I'm also torn because I mean, we've seen movies that I thought were surefire locks before, and not of maybe this magnitude, but in general that have come short. And so you have to wonder that. I mean, it's a valid question.
I feel like there is. I mean, I'm saying it's about damn time, and I'm riding the coattails. But I also like from a much more.
Well, you do have the Killmonger haircut as well.
I mean, I have.
Let's go.
I have to deflect that on a regular basis. Anyway,
Well done again.
I have to look at it from an analytical standpoint because I'm just like, okay, if you look at Oscars and the ratings and all that stuff and all the stuff and going on in the outside world, nobody cares about the Oscars. The millennials and people that really care about it are starting to fade out, and they're going in different routes because they're not trusting the opinions of this institution anymore. And
Should there just be like a Rotten Tomatoes award every year?
Exactly.
That's just,
And
let's go
this-
by percentages.
Exactly. And they're just basically, I feel that yes, it did all these things, but yes, they're putting it in there to get more views, basically.
Gotcha. All right, so let's. I mean, not to try to move on, but what about Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse? Also nominated, Best Animated Film. Won at the Golden Globes, I think, for Best Animated Film.
Yep.
Which, by the way, Disney or Pixar wins every year, even in the years where you think
Yep.
their movie was terrible and DreamWorks should have won, but somehow Spider-Man made it in.
I mean,
Yeah.
that wasn't.
It's not up on you.
Is that culturally significant?
I believe I think so. I am biased whenever it comes to anything Spider-Man, just because that's my main guy. I follow whatever goes on with Spider-Man. When I went to go watch the movie, I heard a whole bunch of noise and things like that. I tried to stay away from it as much as possible on social media and everything like that. And I just kept seeing like people saying, I'm not trying to spoil anything, but like for real, you need to watch this movie.
But don't watch it with a 3-year-old child.
That's why I haven't
made the
seen it.
mistake of the first time.
All the life.
And I don't want to give away any spoilers or anything, but we left early because it was very scary for him. And so, animated movies, not just for children. Thanks, Frank.
That's okay. I took myself off my own podcast.
See,
He got yanked.
Do you think it was also kind of an easy way to ease in Miles Morales as Spider-Man?
Thank you.
Yes.
And that's why I take some
Why do
credit
you need
away.
to ease into it? Why
I
can't you
think
just jump?
That's why.
I think the
that's what I'm saying.
storyline, as soon
Because-
as you did the Spider-Verse, you kind of eased
Yeah.
him into it. Because if
It's
you made
safe.
a story, it
Yes.
is. And that's why I take away some of the cultural significance. Because, yes, on the one hand, it's great to see him represented. The movie turned out very well. It was a very good movie, all of that. But when you bring in all these other different Spider-Man, at points, he can become just another Spider-Man, which is fine. It's great.
So maybe it was really a way to ease into Peter Porker.
Exactly.
That is the
was
big
master
picture.
point. No.
That is
But
the
you
big
guys
I
know
really
the
was
history
waiting
of
for
Peter
Donnie to
Porker,
say
Pointing
that.
out. Yeah.
You guys know why Marvel created Peter Porker back
Spider
in the 80s?
Pig.
Parody, I thought.
Spider
Yeah,
Pig.
well, a parody.
Like
But
a self-
apparently, they were. There's a couple of guys that worked at Marvel really started to see like the Disney store taking off and all
Yep.
these plush dolls being sold, and they're like, we can't make a plush doll of
that's so
Spider-Man.
Marvel.
We're gonna make a Peter Porker who's a pig, and we can sell plush dolls of that.
Yeah.
So they put together Peter Porker. Completely bombed. It was a one-shot kind of thing. And by the way, this comic, which was in my uncle's collection, was worth about $6 last year at this time. Marvel Tales, Tails, because, that's very punny. Now that is going for more than $100. It's insane what's happened with that. So
World's gone crazy for
something to look out for with these other characters from the Spider-Verse. I mean, the first appearance of Miles Morales is worth a crazy amount of money now as well.
Oh yeah.
So just throwing that out there.
I think we're going to see one-shot movies of a lot of those characters. Definitely Gwen Stacy. I mean,
Spider-Gwen.
If I don't see
gonna be
Spider-Man
huge.
Noir, I need to.
You think they're all
And can
gonna be
Nick Cage
animated?
really play
That's
him?
what I'm saying. I need
Oh my god! I was so surprised when I heard him. I was like,
Just
"That's Nick
dance.
Cage." I was like, "Oh my god, that's Nick Cage." I want more of this.
It was so good. It was sneaky good. I love that. That's
Do you
true.
think they're all going to be animated?
Yeah.
They may, because I think
They're not ready for
because
Miles Morales live
if
action.
you notice that I believe all of them had their own little styles as well. Like they were still in the large universe, just mirrors of it. But they all had their own little styles as well. So I think that they can do it and be their own entities while still being connected to the whole. In regards to the one shots and spin-offs and so on and so forth.
Yeah, I think you'll see live action too. Like it won't just be because those characters are so popular in comics that you're gonna have. This is their safe way of looking at it and going, can these characters be viable in a live action movie? Can we make these blockbusters? Is that possible? So they throw it out there all together on one movie, see the reaction, and not only that, now you're building the audience.
Exactly.
So now you can do whatever with any of
think
those.
they're
I don't
gauge-
think
they were
Peter
gauging
Porker
that?
is a standalone.
Yeah,
I
do
heard
you wanna
that.
see-
I heard that
do you
he.
wanna
I
see
heard
it
it
in
was.
CGI though?
I heard that it is.
I don't
little
think I
bit-
want to see
a
that
little
in
bit I
CGI.
do,
That could be a
actually.
mess.
My favorite, but before I went to go see it, a buddy of mine was like, "You're going to go see a cartoon in theaters," and then I loved the line in the movie where the Scorpion looked at Peter Porker and he was like, "What are you, some sort of a cartoon?" And then he just went off on him, and I was like, "That was basically me and my friend, except for not
just like,
attacking him."
"Yeah, I am."
He looks more like Peter Porker than I do. So
I think it sounds like your
Shots
friend has
fired.
some anger issues.
he might.
He doesn't like cartoons.
Apparently not.
What's
well,
like-
you want to call them animated now.
Hey, what do you guys think about the Shazam trailer? That's another one to get to. 'Cause
So this the sequel to Shaq's movie from the 90s? Corbin's gone.
First off, I love those movies. I
They're
love
gonna-
that movie. I wanted the Shaq Fu
Wait,
on
what about
Sega.
Steel? Steel was also
I loved it too.
Shaq-
I'm sorry, I loved
Yeah.
it. I know it was trash, but I loved it.
leave my
sorry.
leave my cinematic treasures alone. Let it all go, guys.
Striking this all from memory.
Yeah, exactly. I appreciate.
By
you
the way,
adopting that, to be honest.
what do you guys think of the Shazam trailer? I want to see how many
Can't do
times.
it again.
It's hilarious. I
keeps
want.
getting
I want to
funnier.
see if you could do it again because it was the. What do you think of the Shazam trailer?
Hey, everybody. Is that the sequel to the Shazam from the 90s starring Shaquille O'Neal?
It's still good. It's still good.
Everybody
You
listening.
can do the line 6 times.
And it's never not funny.
It really
It
isn't.
was
Kazam.
Kazam.
It was Kazam.
Oh my god.
Wait a second,
I hate to be
guys.
the burster, but
It's
yeah.
spelled differently.
Thanks, Corbin.
I'm sorry.
Thanks.
Hey,
All right, so get into this. You get into
fanboys
Shazam.
ready.
We spent so much time on Glass early on, which I think is due because that seems to be that actually is probably the most topical of these. But I think we need to get on because we do have a couple of comic book things to talk about at the end here as well, and we're already around an hour in. So. Yeah, I know it goes pretty quickly. Donnie has been just chewing up the microphone.
By the way,
Give us a chance.
My jaw hurts.
Donnie, speaking of diminishing returns,
Speaking of what?
Thank you.
Diminishing
Thank you
returns.
for
That could be your superhero name. Diminishing returns.
He's got a plug there. That's awesome.
A singer and 2 singers. There you go.
No, I'm excited to see Shazam. It's just funny when you're being a bully as a kid or whatever, and you can just hit your chest and Shazam and then just kick some butt. I mean, that's awesome. I like that scene when he's in the drugstore, and he tosses the guys out, and then the new trailer, he's like, "Where's your beer at?" Like,
What's some of your finest
yeah,
beers?
yeah. That's what it was.
I feel younger when I listen to Donnie talk. Like I feel like his wide-eyed optimism is so. It just makes me feel better.
Is it making fun of superhero movies a little bit, or is it just coming from a child?
It's coming from a child's
It's
perspective.
attempting to
agree
lighten it
with
up
that.
after the doom and gloom and do you bleed? And it's like, no,
more
you know,
Marvel-ish, right?
now, yeah, exactly. And I think they're trying to go to that because it works so well for Marvel. I just hope they don't go heavy-handed and make it all a joke.
Is
Yeah.
that because
And-
Shazam used to be Captain Marvel? Is that why they're
Yes.
going more Marvelish with it? And maybe they're just
wow.
messing with all of us?
That would be interesting. I think it. I'm not gonna touch
It's
that.
a twist.
What a
Shyamalan-ing
twist!
us again.
What a twist!
I just think it can be. I think it could be like a fun little twist to kind of inject some levity, not the force type that we saw from the character Flash in Justice League, where it's actually like
Yeah.
a movie that has some action, but is also funny and not just the end of the world as we've seen from the last 4 DC movies, not
mean-
including Aquaman.
Again, like I said, I like the dark aspect. I've always liked the darker aspect of DC.
For sure.
So when I saw BVS, I was like, okay, dope. Finally, like, not finally, but this is what we've all been waiting for.
We found the one person who liked
Yeah, I'm gonna
Batman
say we're
versus
gonna talk
Superman.
about this, Adonis.
He's
I
here.
mean,
He
look,
just took everything you know about Batman and Superman, kind of switched it up. I mean, Batman. He said Batman's been killing people since like the '90s Tim Burton movies. And to be fair, if you guys watch the '90s Tim Burton movies and Batman was coming, which he did, that was Tim Burton's interpretation of Batman. That wasn't Batman.
Yeah.
So like that already, you're on the wrong path. Superman's never that brooding. I can go on. I'm gonna stop. But
look.
I think Shazam is. I don't think it's going to be completely goofy, but the vibe you're getting, I think, is dead on because it is a kid that is a man superhero. That's always been the line you have when it comes to kids and like animals and innocent beings. You have to be really careful to not put them in some sort of like really terrible, awful situation. So, and that's why they made. I think they made this version of the character Billy. They made him a little older, so he's in high school versus like the one in the comics that's like 10.
Yeah.
So they have a little bit more creative freedom to like have him go ask for beer and do that stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
there's different iterations of comics as always, but I think that they have to be careful, but they're also like, now that he's in high school, they can have a little wiggle room with that kind of stuff. So if it does get dark, like they're like, okay, it's not so bad. He's in high school and kids today are a little more
he
grown
can
up.
It
handle
really
it.
is a coming of age story.
Yeah.
It's gonna have that kind of heart to it, and I think that's gonna be the big draw. I think it's gonna even be surprising at how much heart it has. I think everyone's gonna love it. I think it's gonna be that movie that it's easy to adore it.
I mean,
I feel that. I agree.
I'm not really. I don't know. I'm not too excited about it, but I'm gonna watch it just for the sake. I mean, I watched Dragon Ball Evolution, so
What
That-
I'm
and that was
excited.
trash.
Watch that.
What I'm really excited for,
And you
though,
like Batman
in this
versus
movie?
Superman, so
Exactly.
your bar for what's good.
I'm not sure how
is
any of
very
those are
low.
connected.
What I'm really excited for in this
It's all
movie, though,
connected.
is
Like,
Zach Levi.
I liked the Dragon
Yes.
Ball movie, and I also liked Batman versus Superman. Therefore, I probably won't like Shazam.
Therefore, I like anything.
Yeah.
Did you guys see the punch in the city? Did you see that? in
Very
Shazam?
Man of Steel-esque.
That's Batman versus Superman.
Very Man of Steel-esque.
Yeah,
where Superman fought Zod,
oh, Man
that
of
type
Steel. Yeah, it was
angle.
Man of Steel. I'm wondering if there's going to be a joke about that in there. That like they're in the city, like let's get out of here so we don't destroy anything.
DC can't mess it up.
Yeah, there's
You
going to
think
be a
it's
lot
gonna
of
be
mimicking.
self-referential, like Deadpool-ish, like that sort of thing.
Well, Joe mentioned it with Zach Levi, which, as far as the casting is concerned, having
Yeah.
him
Oh,
there.
brilliant! Like, and if you, I mean, you guys had to love Chuck, right? Did anybody not love the show Chuck?
I never watched
a
it.
little bit of it.
Chuck was
the
excellent.
idea
It is.
of
It is.
Joe, I'm right there with you, buddy. I
It is
watched every episode.
Geeks and dorks and all the stuff that we like
Zachary
is
Levi's
in
a
that
genius.
show. And to pick him as this character, like a lot of people panned it, but like he is perfect for this role. Okay. Absolutely.
Agreed.
I mean, he didn't have the body, but he worked out. He made it happen, and the suit's helping out.
The
But
padding was just ridiculous. That six-pack padding was just.
I think that's what
You saw that.
that kind of like
flip
turned me
that.
off right off the bat. Like, 'cause
No way,
again,
it's so
I
fun.
choose my comics because of the cover art, and I'm looking at his cover art,
It's a
and I'm
pursuit.
like, what am I looking at here? Are we at Chuck E. Cheese? Like, what's up?
That's harsh. Harsh.
I was gonna say it's fun that they're going like the fun route because you were mentioning the childlike innocence, and I'm sitting there going, I'm thinking of Laura X-23 and Logan. I'm like, that was a coming of age story.
Yeah.
totally opposite. But the fact that they're
Lots
choosing
of
that
murder.
Yes, lots of
Very-
murder.
there should be murder in every coming of age show.
Yeah.
I
know
need
it-
to see some action.
She
No,
bowled that guy's head. I was like, dang.
Donnie.
There's a up, Johnny? Jim.
Waited all night. I appreciate it.
We've had a camera on him all night. And we got it.
Donnie, you're like
Every
comfort
minute's
food
been
for my ears.
I appreciate it.
Oh man.
All right, get into the comics. We got to get into that because we got to wrap up fairly soon, guys.
Word.
Which comics did we have to talk about?
Well, we were no. I thought we were talking Batman Beyond.
Oh, Batman Beyond.
Yeah,
There's a little-
that was just.
We can just go that route. We can go that route tonight.
Okay, cool. Well, I think Justin was leading that off because
Justin, you lead
20th anniversary. I was. For
Yeah. Earlier last week, we had the 20th anniversary of the animated show Batman Beyond, which, for those who don't know, was successor to the, I would say, the Batman the Animated Series. If anybody watched that came on the coattails of Batman, Tim Burton Batman. They're like, how do we monetize this and weaponize this to kids? Boom.
Weaponize this.
Weaponize.
Weaponize this
This
to
is
kids.
so
Nice
nice
phrase.
Commercialize, stylize. How do we market this to kids? So they came out with Batman the Animated Series. Hence the
Marketize.
theme song was the theme from Batman. And then they decided, like, well, took it a whole new direction. They're like, well, what if we did a story with Batman in the future? Like, Batman's an older guy, but there's a new protege that he basically, like, I don't know, guides from the comfort
Who's
of his
not
Batcave.
Robin.
Who's not Robin, because it's kind of a weaker character who's been the butt of many jokes and different iterations. But so this story is supposed to take place, like, is it 30 years in the future, where Batman basically was getting too old.
Was it 30?
Yeah, it was sad because he was 54 in the timeline. Sorry.
So basically, Batman had a heart attack, multiple heart attacks all in a row while he was trying to stop somebody. And this is in the show.
Yep.
There's been comic iterations of it, but we'll stick with the show. So Batman is foiling some sort of kidnapping attempt, has 3 simultaneous heart attacks because the suit he's wearing is supposed to amplify his strength, and it causes too much body strain. And sees a gun in front of him and points it at one of the bad guys because he's basically desperate to not get his butt kicked by a crowbar he's getting beat with.
Yep.
Which is his one rule in the animated series. Like, he doesn't like guns. Batman hates guns, does not use guns. They've obviously steered toward that in the Snyderverse versions, where he embraces guns and shoots people and stuff. But this Batman in the animated series realm does not like them. So he basically decides, I have to hang up the cowl. I can't be Batman anymore. You know, ceremoniously turns his lights off the Batcave. That's it. Then they're like, okay, new story. 20 years later, this kid accidentally stumbles into the Batcave from an altercation outside of Wayne Manor and discovers that he's Batman. A bunch of tragic events happen to him and decides he needs to go back and get help from Bruce Wayne. And that's kind of what kicks off this relationship between Terry McGinnis, who's the new Batman protege, and Bruce Wayne are going to work together to restore peace and justice and order to Gotham, which has kind of fallen into chaos and severe crime and all this other stuff. So that's the backstory on Batman Beyond.
Why is it so significant?
It's significant because, Corbin, you want to add to this too, the Rogues Gallery.
Yeah. I was
Go ahead.
first I was going to add a fact check, but 2019 in the story context was the year that Bruce Wayne hung it up.
Is it
So
really?
That was, yes. Wow. Sure.
That's awesome. I just had a Corbin moment.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Exactly. I just had to make sure that. So
Wow
that,
with me.
Huh? Wow. Because it's really worth it.
Can we get a Donnie Dang?
Dang.
Adam, put them together. Hold on. Ready?
Wow.
Dang.
Wow.
Dang.
Wow.
Dang.
Wow.
Dang.
Wow.
Dang.
That's a
We're
mashup.
gonna have our
Dang,
own
dang, dang.
comic
Wow.
playground soundboard going on at
Remix.
some point. Look out for that app.
I like though that I like that actually sport. I mean, the animated series already explored certain elements that were was kid friendly, but it was also more adult themes. That's why it's partly retained its timelessness, and you're able to watch it now and still see that. But the Batman Beyond kind of explored that even further. I mean, you had episodes with just psychological, abuse. You had episodes with drug use, and that type of damage, relationships, stalkers, like all sorts of different things in that sense. Even science and where does that go too far? And
What kind of drugs do they have in the future?
So they had an episode with Bane, who's this villain that uses venom to like pump himself up.
Is he the same vein or is he?
Yeah, so they
Bane?
they show that if anybody hasn't watched it, spoiler alert, I'm gonna ruin some
It's been
episodes.
20
So
years.
We're gonna ruin a 20-year-old
So-
for us.
so,
by the way, Darth Vader is Luke Skywalker's dad. In case anybody else-
what have you done? What have you done?
Oh, great.
What have you done to Donnie?
I just broke
One more
Donnie.
time.
You broke him.
Dude, I'm mad.
Look at the rage. Look at the rage in Donnie's face.
Really selling it, guys.
It's, Donnie, put your claws on. Berserker Donnie.
Insane.
Berserker Donnie.
That's for the YouTubers.
Yes.
I'm gonna have to watch the outtakes.
I wouldn't think so.
I mean, it was a fictional cross. I think you're good.
But the patches go back together.
Oh, so anyway, it's the episode. There's about drug use. He said it's got an old iteration of Bane, crippled, in this wheelchair, not just by the drug, has destroyed his body. He's just all crunching up in a. Made a word up, crumpled up.
like that.
Cruncheld. Worse. New word. We invent new words here.
The Reese's peanut butter cup of words.
Yeah. Basically, he's given the formula to some other new guy that's super big, and they're marketing these patches to kids where they're called slappers. And you slap them on your arm, and it pumps you up and makes you this huge, gigantic thing. So the storyline is these kids Terry McGinnis is a high school student who's the new Batman. He gets caught with these slappers in his bag when he takes them from another student to investigate, because there's rampant slapper use at this.
It's not mine, it's my friend.
Right, and so his mom makes to get drug tested, and there's this whole thing, and at the end, Bruce Wayne gets him drug tested and shows his mom that he's clean, but there are socially responsible episodes where it's wow, that's really it's a good lesson for kids. But
yeah, and I actually like the inclusion of the classic villains. You already mentioned Bane, but you already had the movie that Batman Beyond Return of the Joker. The way they handled that was great. My favorite episode was Meltdown, Mr. Freeze, and I think that was a solid conclusion to him as a character where he, because of his ice and the damage there, is basically immortal or was and lived for basically just his head. If you watch the animated series, it kind of ended. Yeah. And they were able to form an operation to bring him back a body. The body started failing. They basically tried to cheat him out and kill him off to use him for research. And Mr. Freeze was having none of that. He came back with this bigger, better, suit, and then just wreaks havoc. It was a really good episode, but I think it explored Mr. Freeze as a character. And if you followed him from Heart of Ice from the very beginning, to see that closeout 50 years later.
And to answer your question, Zach, just to wrap that up, it's important because it shows the legacy of Batman goes far beyond himself. It goes on to others, and it also shows that he lives to be a kajillion years old, and he's still
goes beyond Batman.
It goes beyond Batman. I think there's the exclamation point right there.
That's how we wrap it. All right. Hey, Justin, move your mouth on the camera right now. So we that's going to give it out. Anybody got any plugs for stuff? We've got El Camino Blue, and we're going to send out all the Facebook information and all those way to get out there. We're gonna put the mug up there for you every time. I'll put it in front of me. Look at that, just randomly drinking air.
It tastes like Camino Blue. El Camino Blue.
I brought a gift.
Oh, you did?
I brought a gift.
Oh,
which is the Camino Blue.
When you're a guest, aren't you supposed to bring a gift for the host?
I didn't know. My wife makes pizza.
Wait, he can't see it from here. So Frank's got.
Just throw it to him.
I want. You can come.
The reveal is gonna be nice.
So Frank's got a character, obviously, where Trump and Thanos are kind of crossed over. I call him Thrumpos. But I thought that it'd be this thing. If you hit it, it changes expressions, but they're all angry. And so I thought maybe at the beginning of every show, Frank could just show you guys what kind of mood he's in. And
don't talk to him before the show starts ever.
I gave him the hair. Let's put that in the camera.
That's your mood drink.
That's tremendous. That's an incredible. You did mention you were bringing something. You didn't tell me what it was going to be. And right now, I'm angry and happy at the same time. I'm two dwarfs. That's how great it is.
Wow.
Tremendous. Getting a single wow out of Corbin. I'm going to build a wow. And everyone else is going to have to pay for it. Donnie's over there. Dang. Dang, homeboys.
Dang, I can't
Little bit of homeboys from outer space. Tremendous show. Love the WB. Back in the day. All right. Anybody else got anything they don't want to talk about? Great episode, guys. I thought this was Twitter Comic Playground. We're going to be making some little bits of changes and stuff like that as we go. But Comic Playground, Twitter, Instagram, everybody doing a great job. Continue to do that. And thanks, everybody. Total silence at the end. Perfect.
No, thank you.
Hold on a second. I'll end it. Okay.
Oh, man. That was awesome.